If these were two of your actual friends on Facebook going back and forth, you would call them both and be like, please, stop.
Think of the children.
Delete your accounts.
Yes.
Please. Like, it's getting crazy. You have
Go
kids.
outside.
Yeah, you have kids, and they're going to know about all this someday. Like, please, keep it. I understand what's going on. You guys hate each other, but, like, neither one of you got to keep this off of Facebook. And that's just if they were your friends that you kind of know on. They're telling each other's worst stuff.
But Gary, not to cut you off, that's what happened with the Pusha T Drake beef.
Yes.
Where why am I blanking on Houston dude's name? Stepped in and said, Drake, enough. Stop. Y'all are finna go someplace. Prince, thank you, Jay Prince.
Right.
Stepped in and said, Drake, enough. Stop. And then somebody got to Pusha T and said, Push, enough. Stop. And so they just stopped it. Kendrick said the first song he dropped, like, yo, there's nobody who can call me and tell me to stop. There's nobody.
Prince can't. Kendrick right now is on a warpath.
Right.
Like, he won't be stopped.
No.
He has ops. And now Drake comes out and is like, oh, well, we fed you this fake information. My people fed you this fake information. First of all, it took him how many hours? A long time to go the route of, look what happened. We fed you fake information and you took it immediately.
And that may be true. I don't have any. How would I know, right? But
the narrative is already out there. More people are going to believe it than who don't, no matter what.
That's right.
And
if I actually orchestrated this whole thing, I wouldn't just have to tell you. I'd be able to show you. I'd be able to show you.
Documents.
Like, look at this text message. Look at this email. Look at that. I'd be able to show you that I set this whole thing up.
Yes.
To date, he hasn't been able to show that he set anything up. So I understand why people are skeptical. That's actually why he finds himself in a tough spot. Like, he's already said twice now in two different songs, Kendrick Lamar beats his wife. And most of the world is like, shut up, pedophile. We don't care. That's where it's at. Like, when one guy says, you're a pedophile, and then the whole world says, you're a pedophile.
That kind of is the overwhelming narrative.
Right.
Like, that's the most important thing that was said.
Right. When he says you're a pedophile, and then the whole world backs him up on it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, come on, like,
there's so many threads.
And
so many incidents.
And then you say, okay, oh, we're doing this, huh? All right, well, you beat your wife. And the response to that isn't the whole world saying, Kendrick Lamar beats his wife. The response is, shut up, pedophile. Yeah. White boy.
Yes.
The culture vulture.
Yes.
Then you can't. How do you win?
And that you don't.
What do you do?
It's a win-less situation.
You just said the worst thing you could say about this man, and most people don't seem either they don't believe you or they don't care for whatever reason.
And all of these songs,
that's a tough fight. It's like your punches don't land.
When all of these songs have been wildly successful streaming-wise too, right? Like, Not Like Us, which is a bop. Right. They're playing in clubs in Vegas. Rick Ross is dancing to it. It's in clubs in LA. It's everywhere. It's #1 on Spotify. Euphoria is #2. Like That's #7. And Meet the Grams is #9. Kendrick has 4 tracks in the top 10 on Spotify streaming right now, and they're all diss tracks about Drake.
And the one that Drake did Friday night that Kendrick came over the top, like, he outdid it immediately in terms of streams. Like, he buried that.
Yes.
And then
The Heart Part 6 has not been well received as well. That's the one that came out yesterday.
Right. And then you get Young Metro doing the thing he did.
BBL Drizzy.
That's hilarious.
Yes.
And brilliant. It's just a tough fight. Like, Drake's actually, like, if you're being fair, he's throwing pretty good punches, but they just don't land.
Family Matters was a good track.
Yeah. Nobody cares.
There's no... As long as you're not talking, hey, I'm tougher than Drake, that's a mistake Meek Mill made, right? Like, hey, I'm tougher than Drake, I'll beat Drake up. Like, yeah, we don't care about that. And then you allow Drake to come back to back on you. That's how you lose to Drake. As long as you're not trying to out-gangster, out-tough guy Drake, you're probably going to win, because we know deep in our hearts, and most of us not that damn deep. Drake fans know deep in their hearts. Everybody else just knows. Drake's not like that. Right. Drake's not a gangster. Drake's not hard in that way. That's why he's going to 21 Savage for songs. That's why he's going to Rick Ross and going to Block Boy JB for songs, because they give him the street cred. He just comes in. He's a really good rapper, and he's got a nice flow, right? That's what Drake is. As long as you're not doing that, Drake can't win. Drake knows he can't win. Also, though, Drake knows that he has to punch. He has to throw some type of punch. Otherwise, his fans might back away. As long as he's punching, his fans will still rock with him.
No one's changing
if
their
he's
mind. If
losing.
you're a Drake stan, you're not changing your mind on this.
Because he's
No,
a
but
national act. He's not a regional thing.
But no, like if you're a Drake stan, then you're a Drake stan. Like that's over with. But like what all this can do, and like these videos were starting to pop up this weekend. This is real interesting to me. Like they'd be in a club, and it was L.A., so that's like Kendrick City. But like to be a club in L.A., somebody and DJ just playing a Drake song, and he got booed in the club. Like they're booing Drake. Like once you make it in that world where this isn't a cool thing to do anymore, then that becomes a real problem. That becomes a problem. Like
it'll be interesting. He's had so much capital back. I was surprised, not surprised, I guess. I'm 32, and so I'm old. But seeing young people's responses, I think it was after the WNBA draft, someone did a video of all the drafted women asking, like, okay, whose side are you on, Kendrick or Drake? And this is very early in all of this too, right? Unanimous. I mean, every single person except for Cameron Brink picked Drake.
Right.
I'm Drake forever. This is Drake. And I was listening to a podcast where their producer was younger. And she said, I grew up on Drake. Like, I'm always going to pick Drake. Sometimes he's a little cringe, but he's my favorite artist of all time.
That's right.
And so you're right. When something becomes unequivocally not cool is when there can be a shift. He has been able to avoid that shift happening on levels of cringe and being corny, and like people have stayed with him for that. But the pedophilia side of it, and you get enough other videos of coming out and so many threads of look at Drake do X, Y, and Z, maybe it could be the thing that moves the needle.
Well, like
I don't know.
You're a pedophile thing. That's obviously damaging.
Yeah.
When people are just flat saying it, like, "Yo, man, this guy's a pedophile."
Yes.
All right. Keep your daughters away from this guy. Keep your little sisters away from this guy. And then the entire rap community, for the most part, is echoing that. Like that's tough. But then I think there's another component to like that. This same community that I don't want to speak out of turn here, but like that sets the culture in this country. It's now saying this guy's weird and this guy's corny, and like we all know it. He can make hit songs, pop, but he's a pop star, corny white guy.
It's like Degrassi.
We're tired of being nice about it. Let's just say it out loud, what everybody knows. We don't take this guy seriously. You shouldn't either. I do think that becomes a problem for him. But if he, announced a show at FedEx Forum for tomorrow night, it would sell out in minutes, and then
but then he wouldn't show up.
Then he would cancel it probably, of course. But like he's still a big star. He's gonna always be a big star.
Yeah.
But I do think I bet you it's not fun to be Drake right now. I bet you this isn't fun.
Yeah,
I don't
a
care
lot
how
of
much
money.
A lot of money.
I know, but
when you think everything you craved your at least entire adult life, which is acceptance in this world, when you think you've lost all of that and maybe never even had it the way you thought you did, that's not fun. That can't
this
possibly
goes one
be
step
fun.
further, though, because then when you are that famous, I think often you end up surrounded by a lot of yes men and yes women. And so I would assume, and they say never assume, there are people in Drake's camp who are gassing him up.
Sure.
Saying, you're winning this battle. Like,
Sure.
please. Quality over quantity. Look at Kendrick's putting 4 tracks out in one weekend. You had one great track. You just sit on this. I don't know. I think there is a segment of celebrity mentality that gets so weird where they think that.
I'm sure that exists.
Yeah.
And that's how you try to offset some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe I'm
as
just
a human being, one would assume that
maybe
it would
I'm just
make you feel
projecting
something.
here.
I would. Oh my God.
I think the way I would feel is like
I'd go in a cave.
I used to kick it with this guy, and now he's telling the whole world I'm corny. I used to kick it with this guy, and now he's telling the whole world I'm corny. I used to kick it with this guy. These are all people I used to call friends. These are all people I used to work with. These are people I toured with. These are people I've had moments with, and now they've all lined up and are all like laughing at me. That'd be real hard for me.
Yeah.
Real hard.
It's hard for DJ Khaled. All his friends are fighting.
Another one.
He's never going to make another one if he can't get Drake and Ross to stop. Drake, Ross, and Future, that's who's going to be on the next Khaled album, DJ Khaled album.
I just like reading the tweets of it, like I just love watching people talk about this and tweet about this. Like somebody was like, Young Metro should just get all the Drake haters into the studio together. Like this
and
is,
like We Are the World.
Like this is,
I loved that
like
one.
This is We Are
It'd
the
be
World.
so funny.
But that's what they did to Ja Rule. That's eventually what ended Ja Rule's career. Is 50 Cent, Eminem, Busta Rhymes all got together and did that diss track on Ja Rule. And Ja Rule was one of the biggest acts out in rap at the time. packed them up, sent them home. They're like, oh, these three don't like them? Oh, well, none of us like them.
I do think that's a real thing. When all the people who set the culture say you ain't about it and we don't like you and you ain't like us, that can damage you.
The Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hart, live every weekday at 8 a.m.